What's up, guys? This is Blademaster, and you're watching the Wolf of Remus Total War channel. This is a friendly match between me and Pirro. We're playing in the map of Olisipo. I'm not sure. He just picked a random map on the from the selection, and this is me playing as Arevaci, and he's playing as the Lusitani. I've gone with a pretty unconventional army. I've taken 3 slingers, and behind them I've got 2 noble fighters and 2 Scutari, and I've got 1 Iberian spearman behind all of them, and I've gone for a pretty cav heavy army. I've gone with 3 Cantabrian cavalry actually, 1 on my left and 2 on my right. I've also gone with 1 Celt Iberian cav on my left, an Iberian cav, and a noble cav on my left. And then I've got I've just got 1 Iberian cav and 1 noble cav on my right. So a total of 8 cav on my side. I've gone pretty cav heavy because Lusitani is probably, in my opinion, the second most susceptible faction to against cavalry, because they have very low armor, and thus they lose a lot of men to rear charges. Probably Swaby is more susceptible to to cav charges than them, and even Swaby have like some pretty decent spearmen. These guys have only Scutari and Lusitani spearmen, who are very good, but for 800 they're not worth it. So what has Pirro brought? He's brought, instead of 4 slingers, he's brought 4 Iberian skirmishers. He's brought, obviously he's gone more infantry heavy than I have. He's brought 4 veteran shield warriors and 2 Lusitani nobles. He's also got 2 Scutari spearmen, so better spearmen than the 1 spear unit that I have. And finally he's brought 3 Scutari cavalry. So in terms of infantry, he's absolutely going to destroy me. Regular Scutari infantry cannot match veteran shield warriors. He's also brought more of them compared to me. And Lusitani nobles on a head-to-head fight with noble fighters, I believe, will win against noble fighters. But I do have Balearic slingers, and they could maybe prove to be pretty important. These Iberian skirmishers could hammer my infantry if they got close. And thankfully, since I brought slingers, they're going to be able to kill them without much trouble. Now, on my right flank, I've advanced. I'm trying to use, despite the fact that he's got 6 cavalry, I'm trying to use the fact that I've got a bunch of numbers in cavalry to try and envelop him and get those devastating rear charges that any cavalry heavy faction can get against Lusitani. So he's brought 3 of his Scutari cavalry. He's immediately tried to engage my cavalry. But the thing was, I decided to kite back because I was too close to his spearmen, and I don't have any spear protection. So that engagement, while it might still go in my favor, would not be ideal. So I used the 2 Cantabrian cavalry that I have to try and bait his cavalry, and as you can see already, one of his units has split up from the rest. To try and catch these 2 cavalry units, who could actually put quite a number of casualties if they were left alone. So now I've decided to focus 1 of my Iberian cav to attack his Scutari cavalry from the flank. I believe he, yeah, I think he turns around and catches my Iberian cav. Which, if I don't manage to catch them in the rear or in the flanks, then it's going to go very badly for me. Because these Iberian cavalry are very, very susceptible to any type of melee combat. On his right flank, he's about to engage my cavalry and I was too busy trying to micro my noble cav because they again got too close to his spearmen, so I decided to kite them back again to just get the engagement on more favorable terms. But on this side, he has managed to get a pretty clean charge on my Scutari, on my Celt Iberian cav, and now I'm forced to kite back with my main force because I do not want to engage his infantry as soon as possible. So I want to leave this to the last minute possible. Like, unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't want to engage his infantry. So I decided to kite back to try and use my Balearic slingers to their maximum advantage. They've already got quite a number of kills. They've managed to rout 1 of his Iberian skirmishers unit. Meanwhile, his Scutari cavalry is not doing too well because while after getting flanked or rear charged by my Iberian cavalry, they're also under concentrated fire from 2 Cantabrian cavalry. Now, he decides to split 1 of his Scutari cavalry to try and catch my retreating infantry line. Very good move on his part. Because what this would do is pin them in place so that his vastly superior infantry can catch them and eradicate them. So what happens over here? Why do I decide to kite them back? I had three cavalry units that were engaged with Scutari cavalry. Now, despite getting a lot of casualties, I decided to kite them back, and I think this was a pretty decent idea on my part because his entire infantry force would have just engaged my cavalry, and they would have been, destroyed in a matter of seconds. So the only advantage that I had would have been destroyed before, like mid game, let's say. Now, uh, I do manage to retreat with a lot of my units, but I have to send one of my Iberian spearmen to catch his Scutari cavalry. But he does have a lot of cavalry whom he's going to attack the rest of my forces with. He almost gets a rear charge, but I managed to counter charge at the last second with my general. Meanwhile, a lot of his forces are held up over here. These Iberian spearmen are doing great because they're not going to get many kills, but all they're going to do is just halt his charge. So they've kind of broken off in pieces. As you can see, there's one contingent over here that's just focusing on my general. There's another which is over here just being attacked by my noble fighters. There's one Scutari cavalry which is just, he's not sure what to do with them. They're in a very strong position. He'll probably use them to try and charge into either of my Balearic slingers. Finally, he's got another group over here which is just chasing after my cavalry. Meanwhile, I have a cavalry unit that's half strength over here. My Iberian cav did great, but they, obviously they're going to rout very soon. I do have two Cantabrian cavalry. One of the Cantabrian cavalry was free, so I decided to attack his skirmishers with. I decided to attack one of his skirmishers with them. Now, why these Cantabrian cavalry have terrible melee stats: 12, 19, 6, and 15. So 12 melee attack, 19 weapon damage, 6 charge, and 15 armor. So they will not kill any skirmish unit apart from terrible skirmish. In melee combat, terrible skirmishers such as Iberian skirmishers. So immediately they get to rout one of them because they got a rear charge. Over here, I'm trying to split my troops off as much as possible, try and get two of my troops to attack his Scutari cavalry. To try and get my general out of there because he's brought two veteran shield warriors who would put a lot of hurt on him. But a good, one piece of good news for me is that I have two Balearic slingers who are behind the lines, and he doesn't have much of cavalry left. So this is the most ideal situation for them, and they're just going to take shots at the Lusitani nobles, pretty sure, because these guys have very low shield value. So slingers would do a decent enough amount of damage on them. Now I've sent one of my Scutari to attack his kind of not half strength, but sort of depleted veteran shield warriors, and they've already suffered some HP damage. And now these Scutari are going to face a much better time against them, especially since I've sent two of them to attack one veteran shield warriors. Over here, this has just turned into a massive blob, and when it's a massive blob, it's kind of difficult to decide whose favor it's going to go into. But this is clearly going to go in Pirro's favor. The only question is how long it will take. Meanwhile, I split off some of my troops from my noble fighters, which has just gone into that blob, and now I've used my increased maneuverability from the fact that I have a lot more cav than him to rear charge his most vulnerable units. So Iberian skirmishers would have put a lot of damage on my general and my Scutari, but I managed to catch them in time, and they start to waver very soon because they're not meant as anything but skirmishers. Over here, I managed to gang up on his Lusitani nobles, and they have been attacked in the flank. Meanwhile, my they're dropping really quickly. My slingers are doing a good bit of damage against them. These, Lusitani are one of the few factions that you can actually afford to bring slingers against, because slingers will actually do a bunch of damage against them. As you can see, 62 kills, 74 kills on two of my Balearic slingers. Over here, this blob just turns into a sort of mass rout. This is one of the new things that I've experienced in patch 14, and I'm not very happy about this. What happens is, during the very late game, as you can see, 30 seconds, 40 seconds left, there's not many units left. Any infantry left just turns into a mass waver. Like, it doesn't even turn into a mass rout, but a lot of them just start to waver immediately. So you can see veteran shield warriors who have excellent morale. It's 65 morale is excellent. and he's popped rally, but they start to break and they start to waver. I did put flaming shot over here, but I don't think that carries too much of a morale penalty. As you can see, they're at 80 morale. Um, One of these have started to get steady, but in many of the other games, which I'm going to show the replay of soon, which are played in patch 14, for no reason, a lot of units just start to mass waver. Um, Over here, it's a bit more justified. I can see that. But I probably will put up a couple of videos later of previous matches that I've played in this in patch 14 that just turned into mass waivers for no reason. Like there was one match where I was against a half-strength noble cav gen, and he was the only unit left for my opponent, and I had 6 Thracian warriors left, and they all started to waver for no reason. And then after that, even though they didn't really attack the noble cav gen, the noble cav gen started to waver and rout. So it was just really weird. Some bug that needs to be hot fixed as soon as possible, along with a bunch of other balance changes for multiplayer. In my honest opinion, I'm not very, I'm not a big single player guy at this point. I will be in a couple of weeks. Hint, hint. I've bought a new PC, and I've ordered it from Amazon. CA was kind enough to provide me the prize which I won for the Reddit tournament, which is an i7 3770K Intel processor. So I've decided to build a new PC around it. My current PC is around 8 years old, so it needs a revamp. So expect 1080p videos. None of this box bullshit. You can get some proper ultra quality videos very soon. I can't wait for it personally. But yeah, so just a few thoughts on the latest patch. I'm not a big single player guy. I'm much more of a multiplayer guy at the moment, and I was really expecting some multiplayer balances to be implemented, and unfortunately that hasn't. Maybe they're waiting for a new DLC. I know that there's a massive DLC that's on the way, um, possibly featuring new Medians. I'm not sure, but they might just bring some multiplayer changes associated with that. Now, in terms of the actual battle, let me get back to the point of the video. In terms of the actual battle, I hope this showed you how you could use, not constant kiting, but kiting 4 or 5 times during a battle to your advantage. I did. This was a very unconventional build, and I didn't honestly really expect to win against Pirro's army. Very lucky that I did, and these Cantabrian Cav did incredibly well. I think this is the best I've used them, because usually they're a massive waste of money for me. Like they're 530 among the most expensive Jav Cav units that you can get, and they have terrible melee stat. So one of my Cantabrian Cav with 141 kills, great. Noble Cav did pretty well. They just managed to more than kill. They managed to hold a lot of his army in place. So they were, they just made up massive blobs. Infantry did particularly well. I honestly didn't expect the Scutari to survive, but all in all, I think my Balearic Slingers did really, really well. In terms of his army, he had a much better army than I did. His mistakes were probably just forming those big blobs and cutting his army into small contingents. That's honestly what I wanted to do, and that he could have used his cav a bit better, especially the one on his right flank. If he had, instead of engaged my general immediately, if he had used their maneuverability to try and get my slingers, and therefore cause a mass rout, that might have been an easier way for him to win. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this replay. I'm sorry about the long rant, and I've got more videos coming soon, so stay tuned. Bye.